I am live. Okay, let me get Courtney on here. I've got my directions for how to do that. That was the wrong button. This one.
Worked, except you jumped off my
Accept.
earbuds, so I guess I
There
don't
we
get to
go.
use
I
those.
did it.
Oh well.
Um, Welcome. So I want to do this interview with Coach Courtney, who I will let her introduce herself in just a second here. Because I've been having a lot of conversations with women around hormones and like just women's health in general. And I'm hearing a lot of the same things. I'm tired, anxiety, depression, bloating, brain fog. And when they go to their doctors with these symptoms, they're just completely dismissed and told those symptoms are normal. But those symptoms really disrupt our lives and they're not normal. It makes it hard to function, to work, to be a mom, to do everything. It's a sign from your body that things are out of balance. And there's also a lot of fear around menopause and what that looks like and going into that stage of life. Um, so I get all this because that was my story. I was dismissed by my doctor when I was having hormonal issues. She wanted me to go on birth control. And I told her, hold on, did I lose you, Courtney? Well, I'll finish this intro and see if she's able to hop back on. I hope it's not my internet. So I went to the doctor and she wanted to put me on birth control. And I was like, I don't want to go on birth control. And she basically told me, well, then you need to figure out a way to relax. Your body's too stressed out. And I'm 20 something. So I'm like, okay, relax. Like, what does that mean? I do CrossFit and Krav Maga and I'm 20. So I didn't do anything. And I just dug that hole deeper and deeper and deeper. And my hormone imbalance turned into chronic insomnia, really bad digestive issues, debilitating brain fog, fatigue, depression, anxiety. I didn't have a period for 10 years. And coming back from that place was really hard. It was a long road and it was not easy. Hold on. View request. Accept. Instagram live. Come on. Joined. Okay, you're back. I'm almost I'm almost done with the intro. So coming back from that place was really, really hard. And forget trying to lose weight. When your body is out of balance like that, prioritizing weight loss is not a thing. You may want to lose weight, but your body's like, yeah, no, that's not happening. So it's kind of my mission now to help women prevent them from even getting that far into the hole. There's things that you can do preventatively. And when we start to see some of these signs, as long as we're aware of what those signs are, which we're going to cover, there's things that you can do today so that you don't get to the place I was, because that place is not fun. And again, it's really hard to come back from. It takes a long time. It takes a lot of money and a lot of testing. And trust me, you just don't want to do it. So I recently started taking a supplement that's non-hormonal to help my body balance its hormones. And I really wanted to have my own experience with this before I talked about it. And when I showed the ingredients to Courtney, she was really excited about them. And she was like, oh yeah, this one gives you energy. This one gives you energy. And I was like, no shit, I'm over here running sprints on my period. Like, where did I get all this energy from? So she knows a lot more about the ingredients. She's got a bigger background into that kind of stuff. So that's why I wanted her to come on and just to have kind of a conversation around women's health and hormones. And then we're also going to give you a couple of things that you can do today, not supplement related, to help your body naturally balance its hormones. So,
All
Coach
right.
Courtney,
My
why
name's
don't you give
Courtney
us a
Barrett.
little
I'm a functional
introduction to who
diagnostic
you are?
nutrition practitioner. I've been involved in health coaching for a little over 5 years now, and I got into it because of a horrible perimenopausal experience because nobody warned me. My mom had had a hysterectomy in her 30s. actually, yeah, in her 30s. And my grandma was, long gone, and I had nobody female to coach me through this. And I'm working in a male dominant world and emergency management and first responding, and there's nobody to talk to. And I started just going crazy. And I gained a bunch of weight, and I had mood swings, and I was irritable, and I couldn't sleep, and everything, and my gut fell apart, and my thyroid fell apart. And long story short, I had to dig out of a big hole that I didn't even know I was, headed towards or going to be in. And as a part of doing that, people were like, wow, hey, you got better. You feel better. What did you do? How did you do it? And that kind of led me to health coaching. And then over time, I've just gotten more and more involved in the diagnostic side of reducing stressors through looking at lab work and helping you optimize your hormones and just helping women feel better overall. I love to grab women when they're like Jen's age, heading into the early to mid 40s, and it's on the horizon, but you don't know much about it, and trying to get things in line. So that's kind of my history and what I do now.
Yeah. So I have a few questions that I'm going to ask you, and I'm going to try to keep this short, like 30 minutes-ish, but I just want to kind of put some information out there. So just generally, how do we know, what are the symptoms,
leaving
of our
perimenopause
hormones
and
out of
menopause
balance?
aside and just your hormones being out of balance, you just don't feel right. You don't control your emotions well, whereas maybe you did before. Your moods switch and change. You get kind of irritable sometimes when you don't. You just, you've watched your husband brush his teeth every night for the past 15 years and it's never bothered you, and all of a sudden you want to punch him every time he puts the toothbrush in his mouth. It's that kind of thing. Your hair changes, your hair gets dry or brittle or starts to fall out, your nails get different. You start getting weight in places you've never had weight before, like under your arms and inside of your thighs, and you're like, I've never gained weight there, why is that? And then the belly, or just in the wrong places. You get the weird energy drops and just not sleeping well, just don't feel. And then, like, if you're a workout person, you just don't feel like you're recovering right. That's like a big one. Or joint pain and things like that. So you wouldn't attribute it to going, oh, that's my progesterone, estrogen, testosterone going wonky. But a lot of times when those go wonky, it's because of other hormones and those effects can kind of overlap and become blended. Well,
so what kind of causes
I
hormonal
think the
imbalance?
biggest
Like
thing
what
for
leads
women
into that?
of any age is your inability to process and handle stress. Over time, we just lose, as we age, our hormones drop, our estrogen drops in particular, and that's like a protective buffer for us a lot of times, and progesterone as well. And when those hormones start changing, things can go wonky. Or if you're not taking good care of yourself, you get gut imbalances, and so you've got gut inflammation, and so the first things to go is when your body has to, or your immune system is going crazy because of the leaky gut or whatever else is going on. Your body only has so much energy and so much time, then it'll divert resources to other places. And one of the first places that it takes resources from is the healthy production of your hormones, no matter what time of life you are. And if you're not handling those stressors, be it physical, emotional, biological, whatever, you're going to head down some hormonal imbalance. And if you're heading into perimenopausal, you'll know it because suddenly you're like 40 some years old and you feel like you're having puberty again, because it's basically reverse puberty, acne, the whole 9 yards.
Yeah. For me was a big one. And then it starts to turn psychological. Then it's beating yourself up for not having energy, being lazy, overeating, doing these things. And that becomes a stressor, right? So one of the things I've been really lately is mindset coaching with women and helping them change their identities and change the way they perceive stress. So
we can't control getting older.
At least
you just
one
can't.
layer
No
that you
matter
can
if you're
control,
25 going
right?
into 26 and you're freaking out, or 45 going into 46. You cannot control the march of time. And the sooner you accept that and learn how to live with it and embrace it for what it is, the better off you're going to be. And adapting your lifestyle. I can't eat like I used to when I was 19 and 20. I can't not sleep like I used to even at 30 when I had little babies. You can't do the things you thought you could do anymore, but it does open up a big world of more things you can do. Spend more time on yourself, things like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so you deal a lot with women around menopause.
Well,
What are the
they
symptoms that may
don't,
be
what they don't
different for
tell
that
you
population?
is you're not prepared for, and I wasn't prepared for. Everybody said, oh, menopause. And I just thought one day a switch was going to flip and my period would stop and I'd have these hot flashes and I'd be like, oh, this is horrible. And then that would just fade off and I would march on into the sunset. What they don't warn you about is the holy freaking hell that perimenopause can be for a lot of women. Some women graze right through it. Some women don't. But if you're on a normal cycle, if you haven't had a surgical menopause due to a hysterectomy or anything like that, or an ablation where you're not quite cycling the same, but you're still going to go through that. But you will start to feel, and according to the North American Menopause Society, they list somewhere between 35 and 42 symptoms. I don't remember the exact number, but I remember reading that, and they had them all listed out. And I'm like, holy hell, that's a lot of stuff. But, you just start to, one of the first things when you're switching into perimenopause is that women notice is two things. Well, sometimes three. Their periods are going to get wonky, and a lot of times they get shorter. Nobody warned you that your periods are going to get shorter. So your cycle is going to go from, you might have been a 28-day gal, and now you're like a 17-day gal. What the hell? So a lot of times women will feel like they're just constantly in bleed, and it'll begin to deplete your energy, and you just can't recover and things like that. And then you start with that, and what happens is your estrogen is just wildly swinging. We're made to have a little bump up in estrogen and then like this throughout our cycle, right? Whoop, whoop. But what happens in perimenopause, you start going like a heartbeat, and your body just doesn't know how to control. You lose loss of your temperature control, your boundaries between your hot and cold become shorter, and you start getting those hot flashes and night sweats and things. So there's just a million things that can go on. But the mood, for me, it was anger, mood, belly weight, sleep. You just, if you always slept like a baby or didn't need a lot of sleep, all of a sudden you need a ton of sleep and you just can't stay asleep. Insomnia is the worst, laying awake in the middle of the night. The inability to control your stress and emotions, things like that. You also, part of that belly weight is becoming less insulin sensitive, right? So when you lose that insulin sensitivity, that weight starts to pack on even when you think, and you'll desperately try to do what worked 5-10 years ago to lose weight, and it no longer works. And it just becomes so frustrating. And then, like you said, it gets into your mind, so your brain chemistry will go off. You'll start thinking thoughts that you never would have thought about yourself before. And it can just be a mess. And then some people might just blaze through it. But when you start to see the signs and symptoms of it, that's when if you don't know it's coming, start working on those hormones now. And if you start to feel that, start work on optimizing those hormones as soon as possible, because it's going to make your transition a lot easier. And let me tell you, I've been on the other side for 5.5 years now, past menopause, because menopause is 1 year from the date of your last period, and then you're officially in menopause. I hit it February 14th when I was 51. And ever since then, your moods kind of level out. You can still have hot flashes. You can still have some things, but it's a little easy to predict what's going to happen with your body.
Yeah, I heard somewhere that the state of your hormones, like how balanced they are in
Yeah.
the years leading up to menopause, can equal how bad your symptoms are. And I'm
But you've
for 10
been
years, my
trying. You've been
hormones were
doing the
so
hard work
jacked.
to get it
I'm
back online, and
screwed.
you've been approaching it from a holistic standpoint. Like, what are those stressors that are causing? We've looked at your gut. You've done the mental work. Your physical activity is optimized. You're not busting ass every day in CrossFit and over trashing your system. So just having that awareness, I think having the awareness that you need to be more cognizant of the age and the transition you're getting ready to go through. You have to take into account genetics. Ask your mom what was hers like. Ask your grandma what it was like, aunts, anybody. See what they went through, because a lot of times that if you're getting blood work back and it looks like, and the doctor goes, hey, you have a little bit of a fatty liver or something like that, or hey, it shows that your white blood cell count's high. Those are signs that your body's screaming at you, and to a doctor they might go, it's not a time that it's not really where we're worried about it yet. But those are your detoxification pathways, your inflammation pathways. Those are warning signs that, hey, I need to jump in here, dig into this a little deeper, get rid of that stuff. You also have to look at your birth control history. If you're coming off of 28 years of using the pill and then expecting to breeze right through menopause, you're in for a big hit, right? Because you've you've been, and then people go, well, I don't want to be on hormone replacement therapy. I'm like, babe, you've been on hormone replacement therapy for 28 years. A little HRT now for you and the situation that you're in, you have to talk to your doctor. Maybe that's what you need to get through it. So it all just depends. It's very N equals one on the experiment with the woman and what they're doing. Do you have good genetics with your detox pathways, taking care of inflammation, things like that.
Speaking of detox pathways, let's talk a little bit about gut health, because gut health is like everyone's talking about it lately. And I'm not sure that people understand, or women specifically, the connection between hormones and gut health and how much the
Yeah,
health
it's
of
a
their
chicken and
digestive
egg
system
situation.
affects
And
their
everybody's
hormones and
different.
vice
I
versa.
did not have, well, maybe I did. I was chronically constipated. I maybe went once every 2 or 3 days my whole entire life. So I've probably always had detox issues. But my body was always able, and I do know that now. I've got genetics on myself, and I'm like, oh, yeah, I probably need to take care of myself a little better in that pathway. But if you're not detoxing, if your hormones are getting out of balance, your gut's very sensitive to that. If you start to develop food sensitivities, or all these things can just, it's a milieu that can just start messing with, not only, everybody's heard of the HPA axis, but there's also the gut brain axis, right? So if your gut gets off, your brain chemistry is going to get off. You're signaling from your hypothalamus to your pituitary, to your adrenals, to your ovaries, to everywhere is going to get off, and you're not going to have that optimized hormones that you need. And specifically with gut, what we see a lot of times is if people didn't have gut issues and then they hit menopause and they lose that protection of leaky gut, like out of nowhere, and they may have not had it before, and then all of a sudden they start reacting. You start reacting to foods. You're like, wow, why? And people will fight it. They'll be like, oh, I eat this, but it tears me up. Well, stop eating it, because it's doing you harm. It's causing stress. Your food shouldn't fight you. But so when that can just all kind of correspond, and I wish I could say, hey, take a probiotic and do this and your gut's going to be okay, but that's not always the case. Some people that may be the case. Some people, I just need more fiber on board. I just need to optimize my hormones a little better. I need sleep, remove that stress, and then my gut problems may disappear. But other people, it can go a little bit beyond that, especially when you get older.
So
Okay.
maybe let's define what gut symptoms
Yeah.
are, because people just love to take probiotics now, but that's not the cure for everybody.
Yeah.
And a lot of probiotic is actually the last step in healing your gut. So how does somebody know when they just need a
Well, I would say if
probiotic,
stuff's
or when
chronic.
they need to see a
Like
practitioner for some more testing?
you've gone and you're pooping every 3 or 4 days. Or I had a gal once that was once a week and she thought that was normal, and it's not. Or doing what we call dumping. Doing what we call dumping,
Hey, people,
and that was it. She
every
wouldn't go for 5 days, and then she would just go straight. Couldn't leave the house for 36 hours because her body had to get rid of all that. That's not normal. If you eat and you bloat, if you have chronic GERD, I have so many women that come to me and their doctor just tells them, get on Berozeprol. Everybody in their older age gets acid reflux. Acid reflux is a sign you have a gut problem. That is not something that you can just dismiss and take omnezopral for the rest of your life. That's usually actually the result of lowered stomach acid. When people think they're taking all these things to lower their stomach acid, you're losing the protection that your acid in your stomach provides for breaking down foods and providing nutrients, for killing pathogens that may get into your lower intestinal system and cause you issues. So bloating, skin issues, getting rashy all of a sudden when you've never been rashy in your whole life. There's just a million things that can be tied to the gut that people don't think. They think of the obvious thing, the burping, the belching, the bloating, the diarrhea, the constipation, but it can be so much more.
For me, a big one is mood. So anxiety and depression. When my gut is, I recently had let gluten come back in and my gut ended up being destroyed again. And my anxiety was so out of control where I just couldn't handle anything. Like I would turn on my phone and try to go on social media, and like I had to shut it off because I was
Yeah.
having a panic attack.
Mood and brain fog,
So
I would
mood
say.
is very much
When
tied
when
to gut
people
health
get
as
brain
well.
fog, they go, I've got so much brain fog, and they want to know what they can take. What can I take to clear up my brain? I'm like, we got to fix your gut. because that's, neurotoxins are very sensitive to your detoxification pathways, whether you have it too much, enough, they're very sensitive. You remember your body, a lot of people just don't give their body any grace too. And no matter where you're at, if your body's starting to betray you, your body's not betraying you. It's doing exactly what it was meant to do based on your genetics and the lifestyle that you've put it in. And that's why we speak so much about lifestyle and what you're doing around it, to where people are just like, I don't want to hear about it. I just want macros and I want you to give me some supplements. And I'm like, oh, girl, if it was that easy, you wouldn't need us. You would just go online and find out, I need this probiotic and I need, it's not that easy. I wish.
I always tell people it's your body talking to you, right? Like, you haven't been paying attention, and so it talks to you with symptoms, and if you still don't pay attention, it talks louder and louder.
And that's
and
hard
louder
for women to face,
until
the fact that decisions that you're making have led you to get into the position that you're in. And the sooner you can accept that and be kind to yourself about it and learn and move on, the better you're going to be. Yeah, definitely.
It's that self-acceptance, right? Accepting responsibility for where. So OVA, the supplement that I've been taking, it's non-hormonal. And like I said, I really wanted to have my own experience with it before kind of talking about it more. But can you, I know I had you look at the ingredients.
That's
they're
important.
All
they're not
soy. Botanicals, right? Can you talk a little? Yes, and not soy. You don't have to talk about all of them, but can you maybe talk about a few of them?
Specifically in the cycling women one, there was a couple of them. They broke it into 3. They broke it into kind of your menstrual cycle, the period up until you ovulate again, and then the ovulation until your cycle starts again. And you have specific hormone peaks and falls in there between your progesterone and estrogen mainly, but you also have follicle stimulating hormone and other things going on. And then you also have your thyroid hormones can become super sensitive at during times of that. And what they did with Modera is it looks like they broke it into those things, and a couple of things they are really supporting, like that first phase. We call it the first phase, is that first 1 to 5 days, 1 to 4 or 5 days of your cycle. They supported your energy depleted. So that's when they're giving you things to help you, supplements that have been kind of shown to, like coenzyme Q10 is probably why you're feeling that energy, so things like that. They're giving you things to ease your gut, because a lot of times women get upset gut when they're on their period, right? Or they just don't, you get like the estrogen bloat, or I always used to call it the estrogen shits, but that's usually the week before. But moving on through, then the next thing is it's kind of helping detox you and support your antioxidant system before you ovulate again. So it's kind of help as those hormones are kind of rising back up again. It's trying to help you kind of manage your stressors, manage your oxidation pathways, support that. They have things in there like maca, which is very soothing can be very soothing to your hormones. And one of the things I often use, they have quercetin in there, which is an antioxidant. You get into the balance, which is that now we're going in, we're moving in. The PMS is going to start a lot of things to support PMS, right? Like zinc is known to help your hormones and help with that. And then there's also, they used a humic fulvic blend, which is kind of the latest sexy thing in like binders. And what that's doing is going in there and try to, you're going through and you're getting ready to shed all these hormones are kind of coming down, you're coming off them. Let's clean up your system, because some of the PMS symptoms that you get is just a bunch of other crap floating around in your system that causes brain chemistry offloading. So those are a couple just coming down on that, a lot of calming stuff. And then on the women's, for the menopause one, they're mainly focused on the hot flash and the libido. And there's a couple of supplements in there. Some of them, olive extract I've heard about. Olive we use a lot for detox, for gut health, and that's in there. I think anybody that's peri to postmenopausal can use any sort of soothing gut support that they can. We talked about, you don't just jump to probiotics, but a lot of times prebiotics and things that help, like milk thistle and things that help keep your liver functioning. And there's a couple of things like that in there that work on that, increasing your libido and things like that. So we have a client that works with both you and me, and she started it this week. She's actually starting tomorrow. So we're going to give her a shot on that. So shout out to Anne.
Awesome. I've had a couple people who said that it really helps with vaginal dryness, because I asked them, I'm like, oh, have symptoms getting better? And they're like, yes. And I'm like, you can
Yeah.
tell me vaginal
Yeah.
dryness is
Because,
better. I'm like, that's awesome.
go ahead.
So in the cycling women, I was just going to say the cycling women one is so unique because as our hormones are fluctuating, our bodies need different things. They need different nutrients. It needs different support. And so having those
Yeah.
3 separate pills, it gives our body what it needs at that phase. And I know I was really struggling with the second pills, the second one before ovulation. And you had suggested that I take a binder with it because I was having trouble detoxing. And this was when my gut health was really flared up again. Can you talk a little bit about like why you suggested that for me? And, you know,
when
should
you're
somebody
looking
just do
at
that on
our
their own, or
liver,
should they see somebody for
I
that?
got mocked. It was kind of, somebody was sitting behind me at a volleyball game a couple weeks ago, and I had this paper out and it had detoxification front. And the gal behind me, who was probably early 40s, because I'm an older mom, was like, I can't believe she's falling for that. Look at all that talk about detox. That's just a bunch of BS. Our liver does all the detox we've ever needed to do. And I want to turn around and say, bitch, call me when you're 45 and 50 and your liver is just messing with you. But, you know, we have to support our detox pathways. Our liver is there to do a job, right? But it needs us to support it. And unfortunately, we put so much trash in it with processed foods and chemicals and the things we're putting on our skin, the air we're breathing. I don't like to get all, you know, preachy about it, but we're just overloading our system sometimes. And so a lot of times you can use, if you're doing the work to help your gut along, and if you're doing the work to help your liver process, a lot of times you'll kick off stuff. And going through phase 1 detoxification inside your liver, phase 2 is, phase 1 is kind of making it water soluble. Phase 2, there's like in between stage where it can be an oxidant and pretty hazardous. Then we want to get it into phase 2 where it packaged up in phase 3 is sweating, peeing, pooping, getting it out of our system, right? So, but there's a very delicate balance in that in between. And sometimes those things can get out of control, and we can use binders, all the way from just non-specific binders where they grab everything, your food and everything, which is like charcoal, which if you talk to any old hippie, they used to all take charcoal back in the day, right? But we've moved on to things like zeolite and things like pectosol C, and moved into humic fulvic blends. And so the binder that you use is usually very specific to what your symptomology is and what we're specifically working on the time. So are you overloaded with heavy metals? We're going to use a different binder. So you don't want to just blindly go out to Whole Foods and buy 3 different kinds of binders and start taking them. So it's kind of an art and a science to it a little bit.
Yeah, and for people watching, like when you recommended that for me, you know my history, you were my doctor, you worked with me, so you were able to make that kind of suggestion. So we'll wrap up with, can you leave us with your top 3 tips to balance hormones naturally without
manage your stress?
Like what can people do today, right now?
A lot of people think, don't wear your stress as a badge of honor. I think there's some drive in us at some point, especially women of my generation, where we came out, our moms were still kind of coming out of the home into the workplace, and my mom told me, you can do anything, you can have a family, you can be whatever you want, and we tried to do it all, and we're still trying to do it all. And somehow we turned that into wearing around our stress of controlling everything, being in charge of everything, managing everything, making everything happen, being there for everybody all the time, and at the sacrifice of ourselves. So manage that stress. Try to get into a parasympathetic state every day. Whatever it is, take a walk, put your foot in the grass, go into the forest and stand there and scream. I don't care. Whatever it is that you need to get into a parasympathetic state, that to reduce that stress load, it's good. And to reduce those other stressors. If the food's fighting you, stop eating it, things like that. The second one would be going into food. Oh, go ahead.
Let me add this if I can. Because stress was my thing, right? My body was literally too stressed out. And I worked physical body with lifestyle and meditation and walking and journaling, and I stopped doing CrossFit, and I was still having problems.
Yeah, it's the perceived.
My biggest stressor ended up being here.
Yeah.
I had a couple traumas that I had processed, and so a lot of times that mental, emotional stuff can be more damaging because we carry it around all day long, and we just don't see it as stress. right? We think money, traffic, relationship, but when we're sitting there every time we pass a mirror
Well,
thinking,
you're
I'm so
starting
ugly, I'm so
the
fat,
day
I'm
with
so
the battery
this,
already
like
drained.
that's a huge
You're,
stress on our
yeah,
body.
because it's always
So
there. Women that don't deal with past
yeah,
trauma or even acknowledge past trauma, I usually try to get them, hey, let's go out. You need to go off and get some help because that's always going to hold you back. You know, you need to get past that. Or, you know, they take
yeah,
that trauma and they stick it in a body part somewhere. And then you start getting weird injuries and repetitive. And it's like your body, what is the book? Your body keeps the score. Your body, yeah. Yeah, I
I
mean, it's pretty in
I just
depth,
bought
and
that
a
book.
lot of
Yeah,
people are like, "Wow, that's too much for me." But it's like, no, this guy has scientific proof that your mindset directly affects your health in 100 different ways, and trauma, especially childhood trauma that you don't even remember, can be stuck there and stuck in your body, causing you problems.
that's the work I've been doing most recently with women, all through Zoom. And it's been the most rewarding work I've ever done because it actually moves the needle. And like to hear people be like, I just feel relaxed, or I never thought about that way, or I can let that go.
Number
It's just
two,
been
stop
amazing.
eating
So a
ultra
little bit of a tangent.
processed and processed
Um,
foods.
number
If
two,
you
and
go into the store and you pick up a food and you go, well, I wonder if this is something I should be eating, and you only recognize two ingredients of something that you can walk to another part of the grocery store and buy, and then there's seven that you've never heard of in your life, that's probably a processed to ultra processed food. And those I don't care what anybody says, more and more studies every year coming out, your body has to process those chemicals. They are not just all inert like the people like to tell you, the food companies like to tell you. They're not. They mess with your brain chemistry. They can be xenoestrogens and mess with your hormone use. Get rid of them. You know, eat a good whole foods clean diet. I don't care what your macro mix is. I don't care if you're vegan or vegetarian or paleo or keto or whatever. Eat eat good whole foods and eat a wide variety of all different colors. And I do appreciate it if you do eat meat because you're going to miss out on a lot of vitamins. But if you don't, that's you. I'm not going to judge. But whole foods diet. I think the third thing would probably be sleep. Get it however you can. The biggest thing I've found for women, especially in the ones I work with, is we've all gone, no, go do your sleep routine. Okay, I wind down, I read a book, I do this, I do that, I do it. Okay. Do you do it consistently? Okay, now, okay, add light to your diet, right? So you need to be going and getting into the sunlight first thing in the morning. I have a little, you probably see it back there, that little white thing. That's my little, sorry, somebody just dropped a box off at the front door. But I get 15 to 30 minutes of direct sunlight or that light box in my eyes every morning when I first get up, and I go look at the sunset. I live in Arizona, beautiful sunsets. You've been here. Beautiful sunsets, and that really has reset my circadian rhythm.
yep,
And you can improve your sleep so much just by managing light and try to get some sunlight. Everybody says stay out of the sun during the day, skin cancer, skin this or that. You need sun on your skin to make vitamin D. Light is a big thing. So sleep optimization, I like to do it with light. And I didn't say anything about this is the diet you got to follow or this is the macros you got to follow, because really none of that matters if you're not doing the lifestyle stuff.
yeah. For me, as I struggled with sleep for a long time, and I spent probably thousands of dollars on every sleep supplement. None of them helped me.
Yeah.
Fixing the morning is what helped my night, because I would start my with social media. My anxiety would get ramped up right away. And that just led my whole day where my nervous system was so ramped up that it couldn't relax. So now I just posted this morning actually a reel about my morning routine. I get up, I get sunlight, I do things for me that are calming, and then I work and I get into social media, and I'm better able to
Yeah.
handle my
It's a big game
anxiety
changer.
during the
My
day, which
daughter
helps me
just
sleep at
joined.
night.
Hi, Dee. She got her driver's license. She got her driver's license today. She drove to school on her own. It's a big day for me. She thinks it's a big day for her. It's a really big day for me. But yeah, I mean, there's so much stuff you can do.
Talk
There's
about
so
it.
much stuff you can optimize. There's so much stuff you can work on. And you say causing stress. One of my biggest stressors is social media. If you get off this and you go check out, you can find my links to my website and stuff there. I'm horrible at it. You know why? Because at some point it caused me so much stress and anxiety. I don't do social media well. And I finally just accepted that's not me. I'm not that girl. So I love all y'all that are. I'll come on and talk to anybody. But for me to just go out and present and put myself out there, no. Too much anxiety, too much stress. Cut it out of my life.
Yeah, totally get it.
Hey, you bet. Thanks for having me.
So thank you so much, Courtney, for doing this interview with me. I hope that, people find this really helpful and informational. Mostly, I want women to know that you don't have to accept like living with these symptoms and feeling like this. It's not normal, and you can do things to help yourself feel better. At one point for me, I had completely given up hope that I would ever feel like myself again. I never thought I would feel creative or playful or energy. I just thought, like, I'm old now. This is how I will feel, miserable and cranky. And I was in my 30s at that point. But today, like, I'm happier and feel better than maybe I have in my whole life. And you don't know what you don't know. So I'm here to help you know, right? To give you information, to help you see that there is a better way that you can manage these things. And when you start to see these symptoms, take care of them.
Yeah, I'm healthier now at 56 than I was at 46 by 100%. It's not a death sentence. Yeah, I got a long life to live, and I'm starting to get concerned about other people around me because I'm like, I'm going to outlive y'all. So y'all need to start taking care of your health too. So and I'm going to be running after grandkids and doing all that stuff. So that's where you go. Yeah. Drop me a DM, or you can find me at menopausemacros.com. I don't post a lot there either, but it talks about what I do, and if you don't want to know anymore, but you can always reach out if you got questions. I don't mind a few questions here and there. I'll answer you if I can. Yeah,
do you want to mention
I have a group, so anybody that's coached with me, if they're of a certain age, I move them on into, after we've done programs, whether we're doing lab testing on you and optimizing your hormones or whatever we're working on, your gut health, we move on in and we have a group that we meet weekly. It's a peri to postmenopause group. And we all get together, and we've really all kind of bonded in there because it's gals that are all going through what you're potentially going to be going through. And it's a little better than social media because sometimes I see people, all they're worried about is, oh, I just need to change the way I'm eating and I'm going to fix my hormones. And I just stopped looking at, but what we go through is I have an educational component to that. And wherever you start in there, we start from the cellular level. These are your mitochondria. They make energy. This is how they help you. And we build and build and build and talk about, what is a carb? What is a protein? What is a fat? What are different dieting styles? What's going to work for me? Because it's also individual. So we have a great group in there that once people come on and work with me, we move them into that. And then we'll probably be doing another just gut specific 4-month course probably in August. And I am doing a beta test of a liver, kind of love in your liver. I call it liver love. We're doing a beta test of liver love, so you can look for that coming out one of these days too, where you can just sign up and go, hey, I want to do, don't do any crazy freaking juice detox and then that BS where you take a bunch of pills and they just try to make you poop your guts out, because that's speeding up phase 3 or whatever. But we work through, how, hey, this is phase 1, this is what we need to do, optimize it. This is phase 2, this is phase 3, this is how we do that. This is your lymphatic system, why it's important. So working through those things, because detox is not bullshit. It is life. It is true. But and you do have a liver, but you need to love your liver to make it work for you and optimize your life. So, I am a moderation type person, right? And if you're going to, don't do it every day, do it in moderation and support yourself, clean yourself up afterwards, and maybe some little binders here and there where you're drinking around binders. So, just saying. There's tricks and trades to keep your liver happy, even though you might have an occasional alcoholic beverage. I'm not an all or none gal, except for gluten, and pretty much most people shouldn't be eating gluten. But other than that, I'm not an absolutist by any means. Cool. Awesome. We'll see you tomorrow night on the Prairie. She's coming over to my group to help my girls with mindset tomorrow night. So, all right. Thanks, Jan. Bye.